Welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour Live. Interviews with the biggest names in American rugby.
The New England Free Jacks, Major League Rugby champions. One-on-one to score.
Here are your hosts, Bill Baker and that other guy.
Hey everybody, welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour Live. It has been, I feel like, a month since we did our last live show, and Fitzy just got on here a minute ago and asked me who I was. The VO Open guy doesn't know who he is, so I feel like we all have amnesia when we don't cover rugby for 2 weeks.
I know. I mean, I look different. I shaved. Can you believe that? Just for tonight.
I'm honored. Well, not me. The fans should be honored. The listeners should be honored. Well, you know, our guest tonight is a pretty clean-cut guy, you know, probably never swore in his life. We'll talk about that later. But Fitzy, happy 4th. It's been a bit since we talked. A good one for you?
Great one. I was in West Virginia. Got to see fireworks of the Potomac River. It was a grand old time. How about you?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I was on a boat in the Atlantic watching the fireworks off the shore, which is how we do things up here. And it was amazing. And then I'm in the process of building my New York studio. All right, we're going to have a US
New York City?
Rugby Happy Hour Live. No, Woodstock, New York studio, because that's where hippie rugby players go to to do things. So, in the process of that. So,
Awesome.
it's for those tuning in right now. Thank you so much. Is this somewhat of a shorter show? It's not Happy Hour Live. It's about Happy Half Hour Live. Because Fitzy and I are going to be hitting D.C. Fitzy's already in D.C. I'm going to be hopping on a flight early in the morning to get to D.C. and I need my beauty sleep. As you can tell, I mean, this doesn't happen overnight. I got to work on this kind of thing.
Too much Manscaped.
Too much Manscaped. That's for another story. Quickly, listeners. Friday before the match, USA Scotland match, we are having a listener hangout. I don't have the graphic for the visual listeners right now or watchers. We are hanging out at Dasha Beer Garden in the Navy Yard, which is just around a couple blocks away from Audi Field, 4 to 5:30 p.m. before the match. The game starts at 6:30, so show up between 4 and 5:30. Spend the whole time. Show up early. I'll be there a little bit early. I'm sure Fitzy will too. We have at least a big table available. If there's more showing up, we'll scare people to get out of there and give us more seats. And apparently, Fitzy, what is Das Boot? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it's this big. I mean, so Dasha Beer Garden is a big outdoor space. It's along the waterfront, Anacostia River. It's cleaned up. It's right across the street from Nat Stadium, where the Nationals play, and just down the street from Audi Field. So a quick walk. It's nice over there. We'll see how the weather goes. But Das Boot is essentially this big giant glass boot.
It's a big thing.
Yeah. You fill it up and drink the whole thing. So.
Well, there was an old movie. I think it was it's a Beer Olympics or whatever, where that was part of it. And if they drank it with the boot straight up, the toe up, it would splash. But if you turned it at the right time, it would pour properly. So
that was
all I'm saying is, if we get to that situation, we may be in trouble. So let's not actually have those boots.
Well, there's 2 locations at Dasha. We're giving them a lot of press here, but when their first location was in Shaw neighborhood, they were getting upset because a lot of patrons were stealing the Das boots and trying to walk out with them. Can't do that.
Oh,
you can't take those things. Come on.
You cannot. You can't hide those things also in your shirt.
It's very hard. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a couple of things real quick before we get to our guest. We came out a little while ago, about an hour ago or so. The U20's roster versus Kenya came out. This win will propel USA into the finals against either Japan or Scotland. I believe. I could be wrong about that.
Winner of Scotland versus Japan. Yeah.
The amazing thing about that matchup is both those teams have scored over 100 points plus. Yeah. And Scotland in both matches. I forget about Japan. So juggernauts. And USA should beat Kenya. However, the last time out they had difficulties with other teams. Seth Smith starts. MLR player, young kid who has been on the show. Keelan Farrell has killing it on the wing. I cannot wait to see this kid get a little bit older and get into an Eagles jersey at some point. No B-Sag, who's been on the show talking about this. He's out, and his co-captain, Caden Chris, is on the bench for this match. I really can't expect them to lose this match. I really think it's still going to be a strong game for them. Maybe the USA coaches are getting more players and getting some minutes for this match, expecting to win it. I didn't look at the table in case I lose. I did not look at that, but I believe they need to win this in order to go on and to face the winner of Scotland-Japan.
Yeah.
Bigger news also, the senior side. USA versus Scotland. The USA roster just came out. Prior to that, though, the Scotland roster came out earlier today. They're not messing around.
No, they're not.
No one's going to be no USA side is going to beat Scotland twice in a row is what they're thinking. However, we're thinking differently because we also have a pretty strong roster. We have almost a new front row, Fitzy. One of your boys in D.C. is starting, and also David Anu joins the camp, which kind of quells those rumors of him possibly switching allegiance to, I believe it was Samoa.
Yeah.
What do you think about that front row now with the Scaro in there?
That's our best front row that we've put out there in a little bit. I mean, just between Jack Ascaro and David Anui, I mean, two young big props that will hit you, and then the butcher in the middle between them. Like, that's exciting. That's a good little front row right there.
It is, and I think Butcher, he had a decent game last time too, so it's good to see him. And then, other people moving around. Jamamu's at number 8. I love him at that position. He's good anywhere in the loose forwards. I'm excited about Connor Moonaghan finally getting his debut. Dyer out with an injury. You don't want to see it to happen that way, but it's great to have Connor in there. Paddy Ryan starts at flanker. Carty at fullback with Mitch Wilson moving to the bench and Billy Hulu at lock. I like Billy and Greg Peterson at lock. I think it's a really good engine room right there. Paddy Ryan in there. Only thing with Paddy, he hasn't really played a lot of minutes, even with Coventry and with San Diego here. But so we'll see how that goes. I guess the same thing with the bench. KP, Capelli Pipoletti moves in on the bench as a backup hooker. Hasn't played a lick of minutes with Saracens for a while. But I do like the bench, a 5-3 split, 5 forwards. It's going to be a grind. He's going to grind it out, and these backs are going to have to get a lot of work in. And you got to be excited about Ethan McVeigh, another Old Glory player, getting his chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then an older guy, a Utah Warrior, getting his chance. And I don't even. Can you please pronounce his name for me?
No, I think you nailed it in the Sayuhila, I believe, is how you pronounce it.
Are you sure?
I'm like, half the time it works every time.
True. Well, other than that, I'm excited for him because it gives me hope at my age to still never play for the Eagles. Mitch Wilson, who started last week, moves to the bench, and then Benji Bonasso also moves to the bench. I think it's a strong bench. Bryce Campbell's there like he was last week. Jacob Turnbull, and Paul Mullen, they started last week, but they're on the bench this year. Strong backups. I believe we're going to see it's going to be an extremely physical match. And it possibly in the rain and thunderstorms, Fitzy. So
yeah, I'm looking at the weather report right now. It's 6:30. There's like still around a 50% chance of thunderstorms passing through the area. So it'll be hot and muggy, but the game may slow down a little bit. But it's a nice field. Audi Field's great grass field.
Yeah,
so it should be exciting.
I'm so excited. I really am. I'm so excited. I'm getting in at 9:30 tomorrow morning. I'm hoping to get to the captain's room with the team, and then eventually see you later in the day, and eventually get over to, who knows? We'll eventually get over to see the team at some point, and then also the MLR Rising is going on, which is really exciting in DC. So if any of you are paying attention to the MLR Rising, it's almost like a combine. So it's exciting to see the young guys get out there and perform in front of the USA coaches and players. I know Will Hooley's out there also with with all that. And it's again, it's good. There's a lot going in DC. So if you're making that trip to DC, follow us also. Follow Rugby Morning. Follow Eagles Overseas for the latest on what's going on. Because Fitzy's on his boots are on the ground. He's been there forever. My boots will be on the ground tomorrow, and we're excited about everything going on. Again, if you didn't hear us earlier, we are having a meetup in DC at the Dasha Beer Garden in the Navy Yard, which is right near the stadium. It's a great place. They have a crazy little glass boot of beer. Again, rugby and beer. If you guys don't know, they kind of do go hand in hand. So we're going to find that out tomorrow, and then after that, there are some things that are going to be post match as well. Hopefully, we're going to find out more about that. So, without, go on.
No, you ready to go? Is Ben here?
I thought you had a moment. You're like, wait, I'm in. But
Ben's here. The kids weren't really cooperating there.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
We
have
sensors. I think.
We're
good.
All right, let's do this. Let's jump into a man I think that knows quite a bit about the game. Also, has been doing great work with announcing these games. We can call him Mr. Mike, play-by-play man, Ben Holden. Hey, Ben.
What's up, boys? Good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm surrounded by notes. I'm inundated and listening to you guys. I'll be heading out tomorrow morning myself, so looking forward to getting in and getting after it. I heard Fitzy doing the weather. This will be the third time I've been to Audi Field for rugby, and the previous 2 times the weather hasn't been so kind. So we're never part of the story, but I hope I'm not to blame because
I'm beginning to say, Ben, I think you're bringing the rain, man. What's going on here with that?
I don't know, man. I'm just excited, and I'm the only member of this broadcast crew that's not at the Rising Stars camp because Petrie, Hooley, and Wheels Grant are all there. So excited to get with those guys, and I'm excited, guys. This is my first international match. I know it's Will's first as well as a broadcaster, and it's a big deal for me. And I owe a lot to this sport. It's been good to me the last 3 years, and this is a big deal to me and all of our crew. And Ryan Ginty said to say hi to you guys. I told him I was coming on tonight, and his group at Next Level Rugby, they're producing the show, and I know McCarthy's going to be there too. And so we got a cast of many, and like I said, I'm excited. It means a lot to me to get this opportunity, and hopefully it's a good show.
Well, most importantly, logistics, Ben. When do you get in? Can we share an Uber?
Well, I'm going to the US hotel, so yeah, if you want to come with.
That's where I'm staying at the camp. Well, I don't know if I can say the hotel name because all the fans will rush in there. And
yeah. It's on the other side of the city from where we're at, so right across from Audi. So yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited to get going tomorrow and get in.
So first international match. I mean, that's cool. That's impressive. I mean, Will Hooley also, but he's been in them, obviously. And I remember correctly, he plays Fitzy. Correct me if I'm wrong. He played against Scotland in that match in Houston. So have you had that conversation with him, Ben, about, I mean, I'm sure you had pre-production meetings here. Have you had that conversation about what it's going to mean for him to do this?
Yeah, we have. And it's funny because going back to at the start of the year, the only 2 analysts I've worked with this year have been Will and Petrie. And Petrie and I have been together for a few years here. And I love both guys as friends and as partners. They're incredibly talented. They make me better every time I get a headset on and call a rugby match. So, yeah, it's funny because early in the season, we got talking, and I was, learning about him and all the spots he played. And I said, so what's the best memory you have from playing? And he goes, the best match of my career, 2018. We played Scotland and Houston. We won by 1. He goes, it's the best match of my career. So, it's. I mean, we haven't really got into, I guess, what it means as broadcasters, in that sense, guys. But knowing both guys and their pride and their passion, they're as we know, they're both former Eagles. I always joke with Petrie and bust his chops and intro him as the Rugby Hall of Famer, which he doesn't like. I don't think he'd admit that, but he doesn't like it. He's very humble, but he's a Hall of Famer, man. So I get to work with one Hall of Famer right now.
Well, Ben, you mentioned earlier when you first came on, you've got your notes out in front of you. Talk us through what preparation is like for a broadcaster for a test match, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really not a whole lot different for me, Fitzy, from when I'm doing an MLR match. I mean, I can share a little bit. I mean, I don't know how I can see that. That's my Scotland lineup, which will be covered in notes. Yeah. I like to hand type that and do my pronunciations on there, my pronouncers and all that stuff. And then I've got another page of things stapled together. This is a lot of stuff from Townsend this morning. I listened to the Zoom call. They also brought in, which I got to tell you guys, Will got in there last, and he had like 2 or 3 questions, and I think the question was something along the lines of like, so is there an area that you feel you can expose the U.S. in? And you could see him kind of smirk a little bit. And there were like 10 other Scottish media guys on there. I'm sure that's all they cover is the Scottish rugby team. And he goes, yeah, but I'm not going to tell you. So that was kind of funny. But, and then just some stuff from, Jamie Ritchie. They brought him. I try to type all that out. We get a lot of notes. We have a research group that MLR started using. There's tons of stuff in there. I'll be going through that more on the plane. I've got another page and folder with just notes and nuggets and things like that. And, I color code everything by the time I'm done. And we hit the air. Sorry, I dropped something on the floor there. But Yeah, so it's it's a labor of love, man. I love doing this, and
don't lose a page. Don't lose a page. If you lose a page, blame it on Fitzy.
I gotta, but I mean, I prepare the same way I prepare for any game I've ever done in 20 years as a play-by-play guy. And the thing that I want to do is just and I try to do this on the MLR matches, and that's just call the game, let the game breathe. And the one thing that Will did tell me, he said it's faster, it's more intense, and it's more physical. And watching the match last week, there's no time to screw around as a play-by-play guy. Call the game. I've got two guys that played at this level next to me in the booth. My job's pretty easy. Get the names right, get the play calling right, and the rest is cake for me.
Mm-hmm. Ben, I can imagine, right? So, for some of the MLR matches you're calling, some of this is publicly known, right? You're in a remote location watching it. I got to imagine as a play-by-play announcer, the preference is probably obviously to be there on site because you get the sights, the sounds, you get to feel the rhythm of it a bit more. Just, I mean, from your point of view, do you just prefer being there in the stadium, window open, so you can hear and take in extra things?
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately my first choice for sure. And, this will only be the fifth time I've been in a stadium for a rugby match. So the first was 2019 when I was at CBS, and they threw me into the fire and gave me one network opportunity in 13 years I was there. And I can honestly say now I'm very grateful for it because I've been able to carve a niche out in rugby here in the States. And I want to continue that. And I'm proud of that and grateful to the people that have given me the opportunities. And, and then the other time was last year in Chicago in the final, and I'll be in San Diego for our final this year. So that'll be 6. And then the other 2 times are for the 7s. And that's both at Audi. Actually, there's one more time in San Jose. I was in San Jose. So a half a dozen times, and that's it. It's a different animal, as we know. And, our remote stuff works. The times that I'm okay with it, Fitzy, is when I've got a game in NOLA on a Saturday and then a DC game on a Sunday, let's say, just for an example. I don't have to get on a plane. I don't have to go to the airport. I go back to my hotel, a little swanky place I got in Fishers, 10 minutes up the road, and I'm there, and I go right back and drive home that night.
Yeah, can you paint that picture for me, Ben? Because you and I have talked about this. I work in the same field as you.
Yeah.
You have comms with producers. Do you have nat sounds? This is probably stuff people don't care about besides us two. But but can you paint that picture what it looks like to you? Are you in a small sound booth? You have a monitor with multiple feeds.
Yeah, so and I'm a huge Nat sound guy, Bill. I love to hear, I love to feel it because I learned from Fred McLeod, who I don't know if you guys know Fred, but Fred passed away. He was the Cavaliers announcer, and he was a mentor of mine in Detroit when I started 30 years ago in this racket we call broadcasting, and I got that from Fred. And I got from him too. We can get closer than anybody watching it, so I want to be able to feel that, right? I want to be able to feel. Like in hockey, I want to hear the skates. I want to hear the sticks. I want to hear the glass. In rugby, you want to hear the bams, the pops. Yeah. You want to hear the cleats, whatever it is, and the fans. So, I mean, we have a good setup. We each have a monitor. We got a stat monitor. Bill will know this. We've got a quad split in front of us with 4 different monitors in it that we can reference. Usually the analyst will pick the 3 that he or she wants. And then the other one's stats. So it's a good setup. We have a little RoboCam. We call it a cue ball and TV. It sits right in front of us, and we sit in front of the backdrop, and there we go. So it works. But if I had it my way, back to Fitzy's original question, I'd love to be on site every game. But again, the travel, as we know, everything's changed since COVID, and the travel for me is a lot less, and I can do more games the way it is now.
Well, and sorry, Fitzy, and even the biggest networks, ESPN, TNT, whatever else, they've all been cutting back.
Yep.
So I know with MLR, it's definitely a budget issue is what it is, and it's no crack on MLR. That's just the way the whole scene's going. I mean, ESPN's laying off everybody, whatever else. So you have a lot more sharing crews. You have a lot more the play-by-play in a studio somewhere. I mean, that you think back years ago to the World Cup, Soccer World Cup, where they had that one Hispanic announcer who was in a studio somewhere in Venezuela, whatever, announcing 3 matches a day. This isn't new, but I get you. It's like it's just the way it is.
It is, and there's a lot of things that I'm sure the three of us and anybody watching or listening can say, well, COVID did this. Well, this is certainly an effect of COVID because these networks, they all realized how much money they were spending, and they, more importantly for them, realized how much they could save. And like with Big Ten networks, since I've been gone from CBS since the end of 20, I've done college hockey for them the last 4 years, and I've only been to their studio once in Chicago, and that was last year. And being close to Michigan and Michigan State, where I am, I'm kind of in between them both. They've sent me on site, and the guy I work with mainly on those games. So, I appreciate that, but it's a result of dollars. And again, I'll backtrack to, for me, like I drive to Indy. It's about 340 for me. It's not a bad drive. It's a pretty efficient drive, all freeway. And, there's weekends I've done 3 matches down there. And I love that because I want to work and I want to call games. And it's a lot less taxing on the body, I can tell you that, man, because people don't realize the way travel wears you out. It grinds you down, man. So it's working for now, and I'm sure it's probably going to stay that way with MLR.
Yeah.
Ben, it looks like you're standing right now, so I got to ask you, when you're calling a game, do you prefer to sit down or do you have to stand and call it?
I prefer to stand, but in the studio, it's awkward. So so I sit. Like,
hey, can you shut the door, please?
All the hockey I've done, I've stood. I'm in a booth, you're by yourself. There's nobody behind you. Football was the same way. Basketball, obviously, you can't. You're courtside unless you're up in a booth. But I'd prefer to stand. Like, I'll be standing for sure in DC, and it's just more comfortable. The hands are moving. You're more entertained, you're more open and more relaxed, I think.
Ben, one more question, just because, and since this will be on Flow Rugby, if I recall, will Petrie or Hooley do a Chris Collinsworth slide into the shoe? That's all I want to know.
I don't know, man. Maybe you guys should throw it out there on Twitter and and see. I mean, we got the young guy Wheels Grant down on the pitch. I don't know what he might do, but I don't know. I think if one of those two were to do it, I would say it'd be Will more than it would be Petrie. And I don't mean that as personality wise. I just think Will would be more apt to do it. I think Petrie would just want to be, all right, let's just do it the way we do it. Let's not change. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, something with that match you did in Chicago, post-match after the team shook hands and all that, I was outside that line, and I bring this up because I'm going to hold this to Will forever. Yeah. Will comes out and sees me, and he walks to me, and we go to hug. And as soon as we hug, he breaks down crying in my shoulder because it's over for him. Like, that was it. And for years prior to that, Will and I talked a bit about broadcasting. He really wanted to do this kind of stuff,
Yep.
And so it was make it or break at that point for Will. And I think he's been doing a great job. So talk a bit about Will and maybe what he brings to the broadcast with you as color commentary.
Yeah, well, if I can, Bill, I want to go back to that because I went down afterwards. My son was there with me, which meant a lot to me to have him there. Speaking of the devil, him and Petrie are texting me right now. And I didn't really know Will. And I went down because I had a little bit of a relationship with Ryan Mattias because we had done sevens with Tolkien's group there that first year, and Ryan was doing a little color with us. And I wanted to go down and see Ryan because I had that, short relationship with him, but still a relationship. Yeah. And, you lose a championship, that's tough. And little did I know that a few months later, I'd be working with Will. And it was week 2 or week 3. And we were doing a game in Chicago. And it was going through my head. I can't remember who kicked it, but it was about from the same place, almost identically, guys, where he kicked and popped the hammy.
Oh, yep.
And I didn't want to be the one to say it. And he jumped in and he goes, this brings back a lot of bad memories. And I literally reached over and put my eye. I said, I know it does. And I'm glad you went there because I didn't want to do it. So, just, it's amazing how life works, and Bill, you know this from, our backgrounds in hockey, and, John, I'm sure you can appreciate this. I've said for the years, especially the last 3, that I've become way more entrenched in this sport, and hopefully all these other things that I'm doing now will keep coming. And I'm supposed to do a US Canada match in August too, so I'm just hoping that kind of stuff keeps coming my way, and through hard work I believe it will. But the people in this sport are incredible. They're so much like hockey people to me, and they're humble, they're grateful, they're caring, they're giving, they're everything that you want a human being to be. And Will's like that. You're asking me about Will. I'd say the same thing about Mike Petrie and Colin and all these guys I've worked with, and Nate Osborne, and love Nate, working with him last year. But I don't know. Will and I just clicked, man. We just he's got an energy that's kind of like mine. He's very high when he's doing a game in terms of his energy. Other guys are too, but there's just some kind of connection there. And I'm really excited to work with him and Mike on this one Friday, and we're doing the conference finals and the final together, the three of us. And I'll be with Petrie the first weekend because Will has to go over to London. But he's taught me a lot, guys. I mean, I've learned so much, and to work with the different guys that I have and positions they played, and we got a resident fly half and Will, we got a resident scrum half and Petrie, work with Colin was the center, and so many other people. So we just bonded, man. And that's one of the things I told Will in the beginning. I talked to him a lot about Jay Feely, who was my partner at CBS for 4 years doing football. And one of the coolest things about Jay is we're still friends, and we became friends. And I've worked with a ton of people that you just call games with, and that's cool. You make magic, and, you're great on the air together, whatever sport you're doing, but it's just a cherry on top, man. If you can become friends and have that relationship, and, those guys know I'm invested in the sport, and I know they're invested, but that goes out the window when you just need to pick up the phone and, kind of BS a little bit, and you talk a little bit about what we do together, or just life, and so that's kind of my soliloquy on meeting Will this year. Sorry, I was a little long there.
Well, one more thing for you before Fitzy take over. Who's tougher, Canadian hockey players or rugby players?
Rugby.
I don't know.
It's not even close, man. You guys are nuts. I mean, I skate twice a week, and I skated last night, and a bunch of guys. We all play, and we've all played all our lives. And it's funny, one guy, he was sitting next to me, and I've known him for 2 years playing with this group, and he goes, "Do you do rugby?" And I go, "Yeah, I've been calling rugby for 3 years." And then another guy across the room's like, "Hey, I've seen your stuff. I watch your matches on Fox." And I told those guys, man, last night, I go, "Guys, we're tough, man, but you want to meet somebody that's tough, you meet a rugby player." I don't know how they do it, man. I'm amazed every single time I watch some of these hits, the speed they play at with no pads, no helmets, no nothing, man. I have so much respect for the people, the men and women that play the sport.
Ben, I don't know, man. You're a tough old hockey guy. I'm sure if an old boys club needed a flanker, I'm sure with everything
he has all his teeth,
the last
though.
3 games.
He has all his teeth, though. That didn't count.
They're all caps, all 4 in the front.
All right, well.
I don't know what I'd play if I'm not very fast, guys, so I don't know where I'd fit in. I'm about 215, so I'm not like, I don't think I'm front row material.
We'll put you in the lock. We'll have you lift guys up in the lineout.
In a lot. Oh, okay. All right. I'll try that. I'd love to try that.
There you go.
All right. See you tomorrow at the field.
Yeah.
What did I just agree to?
How fast can you run the Bronco? No, Ben. Let's talk. Yeah, right. Let's talk a little MLR this season. Through the games you've called this year, what's been a favorite team you've enjoyed watching?
Man, that's a tough one. I love New England, man. Everything about them. I mean, they've become Seattle. I mean, they do it right. They've got it figured out. They got a lot of players I like on their side, and it's too bad Conrady's out in Poland, but they're the epitome of just next man up. I mean, I heard you guys talking a little bit about that when you were going through the U.S. lineup, and I just like their side, man. I think they're going to be a tough out, but they're playing Old Glory. I mean, both those matches have been insane. I think it was Petrie and I that did the one in DC that Patros took over, and and the one up there, Robertson, walks off with the winner. So that's going to be theater. The Chicago's been a side that since last year, I mean, I've been banging the drum like this side figures it out. I think they could be really good. And I'll get to the West in a minute. I don't want you guys to think I forgot about Houston and those sides, but we're just kind of staying in the East. But, I like their group. I like the way they're positioned now. The match they're going to have with NOLA, neither one's been in the playoffs. I mean, Chicago started a win streak going down there in April. That's going to be a fun one too. But, Houston's the other one. I haven't done a lot of them. I think I had them 3 times this year, but they're going to be tough to beat. But, I think it's something Nate Osborne said to me, and he told this to Hooley too and Corbs on their show. And he's like, we want Houston. They want to play Houston. So, they can score. And I did that crazy Utah game. I think it was like 2 weeks left in the season when there was like 100 points in it, man. It was insane. And, I think, again, Seattle, they're right there. I'm kind of hitting on everybody, but I think San Diego might have something going. I mean, if they get through, they're going to be, I think they could be trouble, but I know I kind of covered everybody. Sorry, I didn't really pick one for you, but
what question's next. You know what question's next. Who's going to win it this year?
I try to be neutral doing what I do. So who's going to win it?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's going to win it?
I'm gonna stick with New England, man. I think New England beats Houston.
Well, they did once already, so it's early in the season when they did, but before some injuries. But yeah, I think it's a good choice.
Yeah.
I go out of the Free Jazz game, so
I want to go there and do a match.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I wish you guys did because that is the epitome. I mean, Seattle does it well. San Diego, a bunch of places do it well. New England does a great job. Alex McElvey, those guys in the front office really put on a great festival atmosphere for the fans. And I know many players I've talked to at the matches, Paul Mullen, all these guys in the team said, this is great. I mean, Dino Waldron, who used to play for NOLA, after one of the matches where they were coming back and the crowd got into it. And after the match, he says, the crowd really took us out of that game. Like, we had a hard time getting going when that crowd got going. And it was all me, of course. I mean, I was up there with the cowbell. But I think I might have been in the bathroom at that time. But
sorry, Bill. They do it right, man. I mean, every time you're there, every time we do a match there, it's nuts. So yeah, I think it's going to be New England. Like I said, they just have it figured out, man. They've got the culture. We always hear that word, but who knows? I mean, I don't know that really, guys, in any of these 4 matches that you can honestly say you'd be shocked if the lower seed wins or the team that isn't the favorite wins. Am I right?
It's tight. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good sign of the league.
Yeah, it is.
That's great.
It is. It really is.
So let's back up a second. We're going to give you a few more questions here, Ben. I have to catch an early flight tomorrow, and so do you.
Oh, good.
Let's back up a second.
Oh, good.
Yeah. You have your notes on Scotland. Is there anything you can tell us about this Scotland squad? I think it's a stronger squad than that Canada faced. Oh, yeah. And I believe it's definitely a squad that says we are not going to lose the USA's 2 straight matches kind of match. And maybe some good respect for Scott Lawrence in that side as well. What do you say?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I got the text this morning from the guys, from Will and Mike and Ginty, and I was like, whoa. I mean, to me, they're out for it, man. They're full boat, as I like to say. They got everybody in there. I mean, Finn Russell's not playing, but they got Van der Merwe in there. They got Sione in there. They got everybody in there. So they got all the guys they need. They got tons of guys with tons of caps. And I think, and that was a question that Townsend got a lot this morning, not just from Hooley, but from a couple of their guys, and he downplayed it, of course, but you got to believe that's in their minds. I mean, even Jamie Ritchie kind of downplayed it, although he gave Will a pretty good answer on it. This is a massive opportunity for our guys. And, I'm not going to make excuses for them, but they only had 4 days together last week. So with that said, you got to figure they're going to have some more continuity after a good solid week of togetherness and learning each other a little bit more. And, it's just tough. McGinty couldn't have got one of those 2 kicks. I mean, the long one was just tailed right on him, and the one from 15, I mean, that was about a 15-meter kick, if I remember right. you got to make that.
Yeah.
But, and I think in that match, it wasn't anything about, performance. It was about, we need to win this one. And unfortunately they didn't. So I just hope it's a lot of points, boys. That's all I'm hoping for.
Well, Ben, yeah, just a couple more questions here. One, I know you're a big Seinfeld fan, so
yeah.
I gotta ask, do you ever find yourself quoting Seinfeld throughout the day? And/or can you give us an Easter egg? Can you give us an Easter egg and drop a Seinfeld reference in this match coming up?
So one of the okay. I wish my girlfriend was in here to hear this, but she hears it all the time. Excuse me. So I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook anymore, but when I'm on there, I waste all my time in one of the Seinfeld groups. It's called Super Terrific Seinfeld Quotes, and shout out for the group. I waste more time in there than I do on anything in social media. If you guys give me a line, I will do my best to work it in. Now, one of the best moments I ever had when I was at CBS, because our vice president, Steve Karasik, was a massive Seinfeld guy. And Iron Eagle drops him in every now and then, too. And wow. there was I forget the guy's name. He was a Cincinnati player. And he went in, he'd already had like 30 points, went in for a dunk. And we went out to break, and I said, that right there is like George Costanza, showmanship, leave on a high note. He literally went in, dunked it. The coach waved him right over, and he came out of the game. I got a text from Karasik within about 2 minutes for that. So, yeah, I love to do that. So you must be a Seinfeld guy too then, Fitzy.
I dabble in a little Seinfeld.
A little bit.
Here and there.
You dabble. You're a fan.
So here you go. Here's your line, okay? All right, you can steal it. You can use it if you want. No, you don't need. You don't have to pay me. When USA wins, because AJ McGinty will kick a penalty with no time left in the clock, you're going to yell out. Yes, you're going to yell out, it's the Festivus for the rest of us. We win. We'll work on that. We'll work on it.
All right. If you want to tweak it, we can just text me or message. Yeah, I waste way too much information in my head with that show. So, yeah.
It's all good.
It's all good. Bill, are you a Seinfeld guy too?
Not as much. I enjoyed it. Let's put it that. I enjoyed it, but I don't know a lot of the lines. I'm not good. I'm more of like an airplane movie kind of quoter or those kinds of movies. Yeah.
So if I may, so Fitzy, what are your top three?
Top three quotes?
No, episodes.
Episodes.
Oh, episodes. Oh God. Probably the one where one of my favorite is George and Jerry when they go meet with the president of NBC about the pilot.
Yeah.
And did you get a good look, Costanza? And then later they try and get him back, and then the president falls in love with Elaine, and it ruins the whole thing. That's a good one. That's one of my favorites. I mean, of course, Keith Hernandez and the Mets.
God, yeah.
That's such a classic one. The license plate, the ass man. That's such a classic one.
That's a great one.
When George Costanza gets traded for a bucket of chicken. I mean, like I could just keep going. Any of the Steinbrenner ones are just too funny.
The contest is probably my favorite one.
The contest.
Which one?
The contest where they go, who can go the longest without,
Mine are Merv Griffin show number 1, the Soup Nazi 2, and the contest 3.
Oh, Soup Nazi 2. Oh, that's right. All right, good. We agree on the last one. Okay.
Hot tub is good. When Kramer only does 3 hours of sleep, that's a good one. I mean, I could keep going, but sorry.
And I wound up in a river in a sack.
It's all coming back.
When Jerry and Kramer switched. Anyway, that's too good.
Classic. Hey Ben, it's been a blast. We can probably talk Seinfeld for another 21 minutes here, but we're not going to tonight. So when we see each other in person this weekend, I'm going to start writing down more notes about more Seinfeld episodes. So I'll have more to talk to you about.
That's awesome.
So listen, so much fun talking to you again tonight and in person on camera like this. Looking forward to hearing you during the Flow Rugby broadcast. The match is 6:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night, Friday night. It's going to be a blast. Again, looking forward to seeing you and have a great time.
Yeah, we'll definitely hook up for sure on Friday. And thanks for having me. I enjoyed it a lot, guys. Always a pleasure. Means a lot that you guys asked. So thank you very much.
You got it, man. Cheers.
Thanks,
We'll see you
man.
soon.
See you, boys. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, this is a good guy. I love it. It's so fun talking to Ben. He's the dude knows his stuff. But he's a good announcer. Multiple sports, mostly hockey and rugby now, and he did college football for a while too. And we did cross paths. We talked a bit after the Chicago game, the MLR finals, and we did actually work some of the same games. We just weren't in the same crew. He was a broadcast guy. I was behind the camera guy. So we don't usually mingle. They don't like mingling with those people.
You're not allowed to mingle with the talent.
No mingling with the talent. Yeah, a lot of Frozen Four, which is for those of you who don't know, that's the college hockey Final Four. But great times. Fitzy, let's call it a night. That was a good time. I think it's not much more we can say, except for those still listening. Fitzy and I will be together. By the way, together for the first time in the same place.
I've never
almost
met
like
you in
Will
person.
Hooley and this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are. You could be a totally different person. It's like an arranged
I might
marriage.
show up in disguise. I might.
Yes, a big old beard, whatever. So for those of you listening, please join us on Friday, 4 to 5:30, at the Navy Yard Dasha Beer Garden. It's right near the stadium. That's plenty of time. If you even stay the whole time, I believe it's actually happy hour from 4 to up till 5 o'clock. Also, so good deals on drinks and food.
Yeah.
Hopefully the weather holds out. I believe most of the place is actually covered as well. From I guess light rain, whatever. We'll see what happens. It's rugby. You guys can handle
The rain will water down your beer a little bit. So what?
Which is good because you want to hydrate. It's a long day. But join us at Dasha Beer Garden, Navy Yard, 4 to 5:30. Fitzy will be signing autographs. I'll be taking pictures of him signing autographs because no one can believe it. And we will have a great time. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm really, really excited. As we say up here in Boston, wicked excited to get down to D.C. for this match. And I have high hopes that USA will be a competitive in this match. Let's just leave it at that. So with that said, anything else, Fitzy?
That's it. Let's roll. See you Friday.
All right, buddy. See you soon. Cheers, everybody. See you again next time.